Hello, welcome to Nature and Lifestyle. My name is Mordecai. Today we have a great interview. I'm going to interview an experienced UK teacher. She has about 8 years of teaching experience in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. And she has a lot of experience in the classroom with UK school kids. She's encountered a lot of things in her teaching career, and she's going to explain some important topics to us. This is very important to anyone who is a teacher in overseas country who wants to travel to the UK and work here as a teacher. If you are also training to become a teacher in the UK, this interview is also very good for you. We are going to look at safeguarding and challenging behavior in UK schools. Okay, how to deal with challenging behavior in UK schools, and also safeguarding in UK school. What is safeguarding? When we say safeguarding, what should we know about safeguarding among school children? Then, most importantly, what should you do to enhance your chances of getting a job in the UK? Now, to help me with today's interview is Nicole. Nicole, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Good. Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. I know we did discuss about this interview some time ago. Thank you for joining me on Nature and Lifestyle to talk about these topics. So, am I correct if when I said you've been teaching for over 8 years in the UK?
Yeah, so this is my ninth academic year teaching.
Wow, ninth academic year. Oh, great. That's great. So, what age group do you teach in the UK?
I'm a secondary school teacher. Currently, I teach English and drama.
English and drama. Wow, secondary school teacher. So, I think that's very good because you are in the same category of the level of teachers that the TRA is issuing the qualified teacher status. Okay, currently the TRA is issuing qualified teacher status to I think secondary school teachers over from overseas countries. So thank you very much. I think you are the right person to do this interview with. Now, first, so challenging behavior in UK schools. Exactly what is it?
So, challenging behaviour is any sort of behaviour that disrupts the learning of the classroom environment. This can be low level disruptions such as talking, maybe fidgeting, getting up out of their chair, to more extreme sort of challenging behaviours. I used to work in a pupil referral unit, so that's an alternative provision for children who haven't been able to cope within mainstream education and they've been
Uh,
permanently excluded. So in those sorts of instances, that's extremely challenging behaviour. That's where you'll sort of see violence and real rudeness. But in a mainstream education, where most people will get jobs in those levels of disruption, every school has a different behaviour policy. So it does depend on the school. But generally speaking, the kind of challenging behaviour you'll see is disruption to learning.
okay. Thank you very much. So, how often do you encounter this challenging behavior during
Every
your
day,
teaching period?
time,
Every day. Wow.
every day, all the time, in nearly every lesson, particularly in the first sort of term of the school. So what I tend to do is go in quite hard. So from September all the way up until October half term, I'm implementing the rules and the systems and following through. When I was training, they said don't smile until Christmas. So, very clear consequences and boundaries and not so much friendliness. But then once the students recognize the consequences and that you will follow through, they then tend to sort of follow the line within mainstream education. Obviously, you'll get, the one or twos who find it challenging to behave just within the classroom setting. But generally speaking, once you implement very firm boundaries and a rapport with the students, I think definitely if you have a good rapport with them, you're much better able to manage behavior.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I will let us briefly talk about the exact behavior, some of the behaviors they show during these challenging behavior times. But
Mhm.
can you quickly tell us some of the structures, to help you teachers deal with challenging behavior? So, for example, if a student is exhibiting challenging behavior in your class and you've done all that you could, but you are not able to handle it, are there any structures to help you handle this challenging behavior?
Yeah, so I think the main thing that you'll get is disruption to learning. So those things are talking to their friends, maybe taking a long time to do the work, defiance, refusal to follow instructions. These sorts of challenging behaviors, it happens on a regular basis, like consistently throughout the year. They may not be in the mood to do work, or they just want to muck about, opposed to actually following through on the task. And in those incidences, it depends on the school. So most schools have a sort of 3 warning system, and then it goes to detention or a removal to
Okay.
classroom. And it really depends. So some schools, it might say, give a warning, then move to a different classroom and a detention. Other schools, it might be, okay, 3 warnings and then a detention. But generally speaking, it's 3 warnings and then a consequence.
Okay, okay. Thank you. 3 warnings and a consequence. So, guys, I think this is good news for everyone. I know some of the fears that overseas teachers have is, how am I going to control these UK kids when I come in? I know in Africa, and I'm not saying that this is the right thing, but in Africa, most schools, we will cane you or we will whip you, okay,
No,
when you exhibit any form of challenging behavior.
yeah, it doesn't. Here, not at all. You cannot touch these children at all.
Okay.
You cannot touch them it at all, or there'll be severe consequences. You'll lose your job if you touch the children here.
Okay, so this, everybody heard this, you lose your qualified teacher status. Not only
Hmm.
that, but you'll be sacked from your position as a teacher
Hmm.
if you not, I don't even think only rape or cane them, but if you hit them, any physical thing.
You
And is
don't,
there any verbal thing that you can say to a student that will also lead you to being sacked as a teacher?
yeah, you can't insult the students here. You can't insult them. You can't say things that might be discouraging. You can't talk to them about your personal life. There has to be very strict professional boundaries here with teaching.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. So if Jess, if I understood you, example of those challenging behavior will be let's say a student who is not paying attention in class, a student who is being noisy, a student who is being physically abusive or verbally abusive to other students and yourselves, right?
Hmm.
Okay, that's good.
So
Now,
what do you mean? Was that a question? Was that a question? I didn't quite
now,
understand.
I was just giving an example of challenging behaviors that UK students show in class.
Yeah, so that will happen really often. A student will come in and just be talking, not wanting to work, not prepared to learn. That happens very often. So with that, what I might do is give the child a reminder, say, okay, you need to start working, remind them of the consequence. If you don't if you don't start to work, then I'm going to put your name on the board. Um, let's begin working. It might be that I sit up the rest of the class and I might knock on their desk just to remind them to do it. But what I tend to do is set the whole class up, and I know who my challenging students are. So I have a seating plan, and then I'll make sure that the more challenging ones are closer to me. So then I can very easily give them quick reminders. But with the challenging students, what I tend to try to do is build a relationship with them where they listen. Because the challenging students, quite often, are the most disruptive. They're the leaders of the class quite often. So if you get them on side, it's more than likely you get the rest of the class on side too. So quite often, I think I manage behavior through relationships and
Okay.
building good relationships with the students.
Okay, building good relationship with students will help manage behavior. I know
Yeah.
Nicole is very experienced, so she kind of rattles it and she knows whatever that she will
I'm
do.
firm.
She can.
Yeah, I think I say quite often, I use a carrot and a stick, a carrot and a stick. So when they do good things, I reward them, give them lots of praise. This is great. You know, I'm going to give a positive phone call home. You know, well done, and give them lots and lots of encouragement for the good behavior. For the bad behavior, I implement consequences. So it's constantly a carrot and a stick, a carrot and a stick.
Oh, okay,
A
okay.
metaphorical stick, a metaphorical stick.
Okay, okay. So, well, I'll end the challenging behavior discussion here and move to another one. But what I want to tell you guys is there are support systems, okay, that you can fall on in case you have, this challenging behavior. There are
Okay.
some systems in place. They will not leave you alone,
Yeah.
in case you have any student exhibiting any challenging behavior.
Okay, so every school has a behavior policy, and generally
Okay.
speaking, within your department, you have a head of department. So the head of department will help manage behavior within your department, and if it's challenging behavior out of the school, there's a behavior lead, and there's heads of years who you can go to sort of implement consequences long term. You have access to student information, so you can call their teachers, and there is a supportive system for managing behavior. But every school has its own policy. So it may be, so in my particular school, if they get the 3 strikes, then it's a head of department detention. So
Okay.
the head of English will then take the detention once they're removed, and then they'll be taken out of circulation, so it's taken out of your class for I think 2 lessons, and then you have a sort of restorative meeting where you both sit down and talk about what happened and what the expectation is going back into class.
Okay, okay. Thanks for your explanation. We do appreciate this. Now, the next thing is safeguarding in UK schools. Okay, so children safeguarding in UK schools. I've been hearing about this. I've also read about this online as well. Can you briefly explain what is it to us?
So safeguarding is essentially guarding all of the children within the school in order to keep them safe, so and away from harm. So looking out for signs of abuse, physical, emotional, internet, and these things. So as a teacher, your job primarily is what we call parental locus. So you are responsible for the safety of that child while they're in school. So with that, you as a teacher need to ensure that you're keeping the child safe, so free from verbal abuse, free from physical abuse and harm. And then within that, if a child comes to you with any sort of reports of anything that they could be in danger, you report it to the safeguarding lead. So in every school, there's somebody who's the designated safeguarding lead, the DSL. So any kind of red flags that a child could be in harm, or potential harm, you'll either email the DSL or you'll go to speak to the DSL directly.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, in my first video about how to migrate to UK as a teacher, I did tell you guys that you should read more about safeguarding in UK schools because it's one of the important things to know as a teacher in UK. Now, let's look at another thing here. So, what should these teachers do? Okay, we are bringing this short interview to an end. What should overseas teachers do to enhance their chances of securing a job as teachers in the UK?
Okay, just quickly, if they want to know more about safeguarding and safeguarding policy, they can go to the DFE website, the Department for Education, and
Okay.
on there, because there's a standardized policy on safeguarding and what it is and what that means. So go to the Department for Education website, and I think it's on gov.uk or whatever that website is. Or if you type in Department for Education UK, then safeguarding a policy will come up and what that actually means. And then now to help jobs, I think the best thing to do is write down as much experience that you have as possible and how you've contributed to both the wider school community and what you've done practically within the school system. If you've got experience of writing schemes of work and planning, you've contributed to your department, put all of those things in. When have you managed trips, put that into your CV too, and start to sort of build a profile. So that when it comes to filling out application forms, you can now copy and paste a lot of the information that you have, because teaching applications, they're quite long, but essentially what they want to know is what work have you done? How have you contributed to the wider school life? How is it that you can benefit the school as a whole and having you here?
Yeah, that's great. Uh, I remember I did say you don't only have to write about your qualities, okay? Your qualities is something you have, but you also have to state what you can do to help the school in case they
Is
employ you.
mm-hmm.
So it's not only okay for you to write, I am hardworking, I am punctual, I'm
Exactly.
respectful, I'm this and that. You have to write what you can do to help the school.
Yeah. So, for example, if you are an English teacher, you can say, you know, you've written schemes of work on Hamlet and Macbeth, or you know, you've if you're a drama teacher, the shows that you've created. If you are maths, how you've done extracurricular activities, your results, you know, in terms of how many students have passed under um, your leadership and guidance, how, and write in as much detail as possible. So really think to yourself, what are my achievements as a teacher? How have I achieved these things? What have I done to contribute to the lives of these students and the life and to the school environment as a whole?
Oh, okay, thank you very much. So, in addition to what you said, they also need to get their qualified teacher status because most schools in England are looking for this. And also, just to write your CV very well, as she has explained. Now, my last question for you is one of my group members on Telegram said I should ask, what is the meaning of key stage? When they say key stage,
Okay.
write about your key stage in a CV. What is the meaning?
So key stage are the age groups that we use. So key stage 3 in secondary school is year 7 and 8, sometimes year 9. So
Okay.
that is when you're year 7, you're 11 to 12. Year 8 is 12 to 13. Year 9 is 13 to 14. And in most schools, that is key stage 3. Now, key stage 4 is the GCSE year. So year 10 and 11 are the years in which that you prepare for your GCSEs. In some schools, key stage 4 starts in year 9. So they start to prepare for their GCSEs in year 9. So key stage 4 is GCSE years. Key stage 3 is the entry to GCSE. And then key stage 5 is essentially college. So you begin your GCSEs in year 11, which is the ages of 15 to 16.
Uh,
We're not doing primary, so we won't worry about that. But key stage 3 and 4 are the secondary school age groups. And then key stage 5 is the A level age group, where they're
okay.
16 to 18.
If they want to read about this, is there any website they can visit?
Key stage, it's very simple. The key stages are just the year group, so what is being taught. I think it's really important that you familiarize yourself with the curriculum because it may differ. I know maths is very similar globally, but other subjects such as English, IT, history, geography, these subjects are quite different here in the United Kingdom. So it's really important that you start to familiarize yourself with that. So you can go online on websites such as Twinkle. They're really good for resources. You can start to look through some schemes of work and start to familiarize yourself with the content for each
Okay.
subject. So generally speaking, we have two boards. that we use, examination boards, AQA and Pearson's, that deliver most of our qualifications. So if you go into the AQA website or the Pearson's website and you familiarize yourself with the course content for your subject, you can start to see where your experience marries with the current curriculum and tailor your application, your CV for our exam boards.
Okay. Thank you very much for your explanation, Nicole. I do appreciate you joining us to explain things to us. Guys, today we looked at challenging behavior in UK schools, safeguarding in UK schools, what you should do as an overseas teacher for you to secure a job in UK. Then she also did explain the key stages in UK schools as well. I'll leave the link to the that safeguarding website on the DFE website. Okay, I'll leave that link in this video
And then please
description.
also the AQA and the Pearson website, leave those links as well. They'll be helpful.
Okay. I'll leave all those links in this video description so you can check it for yourself. So finally, what advice will you give to the teachers who are preparing to come?
Just do your best to sell yourself. Think about all of the things that you have achieved and ensure that you look up what our qualifications entail and how your experience marries to the current exam board, because that's essentially what we're doing here in the UK to teach. We're teaching to exam boards, we're teaching for results. So what results have you got? And secondly, how does your experience marry with the schools here in the UK?
Okay. Thank you very much, Nico. Thank you. We do appreciate
You're
this.
welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great. I know I've taken your time. Okay, I said
No
only
worries.
15 minutes, but it's over 15 minutes now. Okay, thank you. So, guys, this has been Nature and Lifestyle. Kindly subscribe to this channel. If you have any question, you can ask in this video comment section, and you can also join our Telegram page as well. See you another time with another interesting video. Okay.